subscribe, please hit like. And what do I have here? I've got the remaining work to do on this pivot. So I'm going to see what I can do here with this. Could be a bit touchy. I've got basically the pivot is what I had made in the previous video, and I'm going to use this stone to try to get it down to 0.16. This is what I need for the pivot size, 0.16 millimeters. I still need to figure out the distance here, but I can sort of eyeball that and trial it, and then if it's too long, I can put it back and then take some material off it again, right? So but I want to get the half of this pivot down to 0.16. It's half of this little tiny thing on the end here. And I use this stone here and very lightly holding the stone, turn it like this, and then work the pivot on the end like that. And that'll remove material from there. And you have to do it extremely lightly, otherwise you'll snap the pivot. It just takes time to learn how to do this properly, and skill, I guess, is acquired over a lot of time. So I just try this out and see if you're good at it. I'm not sure, but you can also use a bit of cutting oil on this too, on the stone here. So if I just put a blob of this cutting oil on here, it may actually cut better. We'll see. So I'll just do that. Put a blob on the stone here like that, but I don't want that much, so I'm just going to rub it around here and get rid of some of it. Wipe it on my pants. That's always a good thing to do. And then see if this cuts better with this cutting oil. It might. They do call it cutting oil for a reason. So I hold it in my fingers like this, and I hold the end like that, and I let it move freely. I guide it kind of thing, but I don't put too much pressure on there, otherwise it'll snap the pivot off. Now, I haven't done a balance staff for quite a while, so I'm sure my skills aren't as good. The other thing I want to do is switch glasses. So I'm using these ones here, which are close but not close enough. You want to be right in there, and that way when you're removing material, you know that it looks a lot bigger. You can have better, finer motor control when it's really big. And again, I've got the same darn problem I had before, where I've got glare coming off of this chip over tool rest from the light, and that really throws off your view here. So I'm just going to do this and get in a little closer, and this is definitely helping. And then I'll be back in a while, because this will bore the heck out of you. So now I'm working this pivot down to 0.16 of a millimeter. It's really small work to do, and you just have to hold your stone very carefully as you're working it, and you need to be up close to do this. So And once you've gotten it close, you get your cease dueling gauge out, and this was 0.16, so I get 0.16, and I see what kind of fit I'm getting here. Still got a little ways to go. It's close, but it's more like a 0.18 right now, so it needs to go down just a bit further. So you just keep removing material until you're getting close. You can also use the Valirobe graver here. And this here has got a rounded end on it as well. This side here has got a little bit of a rounded edge, so it basically only cuts the pivot and not the cone part. You really have to control the weight on the pivot. You don't want it pushing up too much. If that does, you can snap the pivot off, and you don't want to do that and have to start all over again. Yeah, that's pretty small right there, so I'm just going to measure that and see if it's 0.16 yet, because it's getting pretty darn close. Let me see here, what do we have? Alright, so the very tip of it is going in, so it's getting super close to being the right size. And this has got file all the way to here, and then at the very end it's got smooth parts, so you can work on the pivot end and not have to worry about filing down the other part. And once I get it to this level, I start working it with the stone again. So it's getting pretty tiny now, so I just have to make sure I'm not going too far here and get that. Yeah, see, now that's fitting into the 1/6. But not all the way in. So I can get very close to the end here and take it off a little more. I got the grandchildren visiting right now, and it's kind of distracting me a bit. So. And I'll measure it again. I took more material off. That's actually going in the hole now, so I'm going to take a little bit more off. I'm just cautiously going to remove just a bit more here. I think those grandchildren are just going to distract me too much to finish this job without breaking something. But I think I'm where I need to be here. That's fitting in at 0.16. I'm going to get my pivot file out again. All right, take a break. All right, the last step I've had to do after making sure that it fits 16 or 0.16. It says 16 on the gauge, but it's actually 0.16. That goes in nicely. Like that is that I take the burnishing end of this file and then burnish the metal, and that hardens the steel on the tip of the pivot. And so what I'll end up doing is staking on the balance rim onto this, and then stake on, once I've staked the balance rim on, I'll spin it and make sure it's sized properly so I can put it back in if I need to. With the balance, it's not going to be a problem. I can still work the pivot. So that should be, I think that's my next plan, is to try to stake that balance back on, and then we'll see if that works. But for now, that's the pivot on the end. That's basically how you work the pivot. You've got to be very light with your hands. I use the Valjarobe, or whatever it's called here, the Valarobe, probably Valarobe. The Valarobe tool at the very end here to do the job. So I did that. I used both the filing end of it and the burnishing end of it. You could do the whole job with this, but I prefer to use my Arkansas stone here, which takes off good material. I used a bit of this stone here, but I like the Arkansas better. So that's it for now, and I'll just make this video so you guys can watch the technique for doing this. It's not an easy job. You really have to have nice quiet atmosphere without grandchildren running around, even though I was able to still do it. So thanks a lot. I'm gonna, I think, stake on the balance like I said, and then test it within the platform movement. This is what the platform movement looks like, and that jewel, that's the base of the open pallet fork, that's the jewel that pivot's going to fit into. So that's a thing of beauty. I don't want to fit it in right now, because if you try to do that with it in here and something happens, this moves a bit, it could snap the pivot off. So that's not a very smart thing to do. So we'll get that thing staked on, and I can always trim it and adjust it after I've put the balance on. And I really want to have that balance on to see what that looks like for any adjustments I need to make. So thanks again for watching this video. It's been an adventure and a half, and I'll catch you next time. JD here. Please subscribe to my channel and pass it around, please, and hit like and make a lot of comments. I love comments. So thanks a lot. Have a good evening.